Yes, people, we're here again for the latest Liverpool transfer news. Are we going to get the Frimpong? Here we go, very soon. Well, I don't know why that's playing. Yeah, I don't know why that. Why is all that playing then? Right, we're back. Right, people, it's looking like potentially Liverpool could get a here we go very soon. Yeah, the eyes emojis. Very soon regarding Jeremy Frimpong. We're going to be speaking about Florian Wirtz. Make sure you're smashing the likes, you're subscribing to the channel. It is very important. So yeah, let's dive into what David Ornstein tweeted this morning before we start breaking things down. David Ornstein tweeted this morning, Liverpool advancing in talks to sign Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen, increasing confidence from Dutch international camp. Deal will be struck. 24-year-old Bayer Leverkusen right back keen on move, so personal terms no issue. 35 million euros release clause. David Ornstein breaking that. And it's looking like it's going to get done. It's looking like it is going to get done. And hopefully, imagine if we get the news live on air. That would be kind of fun. Also, The Guardian have actually just tweeted out as well. We're going to pull that article up on screen too. But people, it's very important if you smash them likes rapidly. It obviously helps push out the channel, and yeah, make sure you're dropping a subscribe on the channel as well. Yeah, get it done ASAP. Move on to that. Frimpong, here we go. It's getting closer. So let's move on to what the Guardian have basically just said. Liverpool are set to trigger Jeremy Frimpong's release clause. Discussions are continuing with the players' representatives, and if a deal can be concluded, Frimpong will become Liverpool's first summer signing. So it is looking like Frimpong is going to get done. And yeah, it's looking like it's going to get done, man. But it's important. Obviously the personal terms, it's looking like that's not going to be an issue, which is good. Which is, I always find personal terms and all that stuff is never really a kind of an issue, really. I feel like the one time we've only really ever had issues when it comes to personal terms with players is when we always try to sign Moises Caicedo. Thoughts on Frimpong as a player? We're going to be speaking about that. Yeah. So we have got Twitter loaded up on the ready go in case news just absolutely keeps breaking. But it's looking like he is going to be the first summer signing. I mean, look, for £35 million that can be paid in installments, you genuinely can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with it. For £7 million, let's not act like Liverpool are signing some absolute bum right back. No one's ever heard of. No one's ever really watched him play. I just think this is a really good bit of business because we need to replace that creativity that Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving behind. And I've mentioned it a couple of times on a couple of videos and streams. I genuinely think that the Frimpong stuff, there's a bigger picture here. And in the way I see this, I think Arne Slot is going to change the way he plays football. Not like drastically and rip up the whole thing. I'm not saying that, but I think he's going to make some big tweaks because Arne Slot isn't a daft manager. He knows what he's doing. I have full trust in him. He's literally coming in his first season, won me a Premier League title. There's no reason to not trust the guy. And it is looking like obviously Frimpong is going to be his first signing. And the reason why I think Frimpong is a good signing is because Conor Bradley and Frimpong are different fullbacks. Conor Bradley's more defensively sound. He can still still very good going forward, but he is good defensively. Some people say Frimpong defensively, would be good to work on that. And I feel like in certain games, we actually have the capability now to maybe change how we play. We can put Conor Bradley in. If we come, let's say we're playing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, you're probably going to want to put Conor Bradley in. You saw last season when he put in a good shift against Kylian Mbappe and against Real Madrid and these high quality players. And I feel like they're the sort of games where Bradley's could be made. But do you know when we're playing when we're playing, I don't know, your West Ham's at home, for example, on the hard to break down, Frimpong can just come in and just bomb up and down that right. He can overlap Salah. He can do the running power of Salah. We need to remember, we need to save the best part of Salah for these next 2 years of his Liverpool contract. And I feel like Jeremy Frimpong is genuinely going to help him do that with the running power, with the pace overlapping. So Salah doesn't have to do much running. You notice with players when they start to lose their pace, they start to reserve the energy. You notice Salah doesn't track back as much because he needs to reserve himself for later in the season and later in games and to prevent himself from picking up hamstrings. And I feel like Frimpong is 100% going to help him with that. So I don't think you can. And plus, look, for 35 million, you can't go wrong. We've all watched Frimpong this season. We've all watched him last season for Bayer Leverkusen when he went unbeaten in the title. And for you stat nerds, Frimpong, he's got similar numbers to Trent Alexander-Arnold this season. This season, he's played 33 matches in the Bundesliga with 5 goals and 5 assists. Last season, he got 9 goals and 7 assists. So he does actually have a bit of I won't say an eye for a goal, but he can definitely chip in with some goals. And you saw the season before that, 8 goals, 7 assists. So he does pick up numbers down that side. And obviously in the Champions League, he also got 3 assists in that competition with 3 goals in the Europa League last season as well. So I just think this Frimpong business, it really does make sense. You can't go wrong with it. And if you look at the right back market, it's not particularly great. If I'm being honest with you, there's very few right backs right now that you can get for probably a quality of a player's Frimpong for the price. Name your right back or right wing back, whatever, that is better than Jeremy Frimpong for the price and what we need going with our fullbacks. Think about how Liverpool play. So, I don't think you can really critique it. Do you know what I mean? So make sure. Let me see how many likes we're on. Yeah, people, make sure you're smashing the likes. Also, I do actually have a gaming channel. This is the gaming channel. I'll put it in the chat. It's BL Games TV is the gaming channel. Let me just see what this tweet is about. Yeah, just some Wirtz stuff I just saw, but we'll be talking about that. Apparently, Frimpong is going to be a 5-year deal. Yeah, that's no real surprise there. But look, Yeah, we are going to be speaking about Wirtz. We will be speaking about Wirtz. Don't you worry about that. We've only just started the stream. Vanderson. Yeah, I've seen rumours about Vanderson. I've seen a few people say Liverpool was linked to Vanderson. I've not watched much of Vanderson, if I'm being truly honest. I'll be honest. At the start of when Trent Alexander-Arnold announced that he was leaving Liverpool Football Club, if you said to me, name me a right back you'll take, honestly, I would have took probably a Jed Spence, a player that is defensively good. I think he's okay going forward, and for the price, I don't think it'd be too astronomical. Seen a few say we might play to a PSG type slot, taking ideas from him. Yeah, we will be moving on to this. But that's interesting. I've seen a few people say that. Obviously, I know the way that PSG play with their fullbacks. And then obviously they have Neves, who's like the sitter who can control the game from deep, and you can also do the dirty work, getting the tackles and stuff like that. A bit like what Gravenberch can do. I can understand where people are thinking we could possibly play similar to PSG. The way I'm thinking is when Frimpong forward, I'm thinking Ryan Gravenberch's going to drop back. If you watched a couple of games this season, I think the Fulham game really sticks out to minds, in my opinion. When Andy Robertson got sent off, you saw Arnie Slot get Gravenberch and kind of sit him even further deep. And he was almost playing as like a centre-back at times. I'm not saying he's going to be playing as a centre-back, Ryan Gravenberch, next season. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But what I'm trying to say is, I think when Frimpong forward and we're on the attack, Gravenberch comes back a little bit, covers that acres of space because he's got the energy and the press resistance to be able to do so. That's what I'm thinking potentially. And obviously, I think Kerkez is better defensively than Frimpong, so I don't think Kerkez will need to bomb. I very much would doubt that we're going to have Frimpong and Kerkez to the bar line, bombing. I think it'd be more predominantly generally Frimpong and Kerkez will do what the Andy Robertson kind of role is. Do you know what I mean? Because I actually, there's been shades when I've watched Kerkez, some of the ways he crosses the ball and the way he actually bombs up the pitch. Very reminiscent to the old prime Andy Robertson. And I've seen a few people saying the Kerkez talk has kind of calmed down. I don't think it's calmed down. I think that Liverpool are just kind of waiting to the end of the season. I think Liverpool are really looking at potential release clauses right now, hence why there was heavily links to Huijsen. Obviously, looks like he's going to Real Madrid. Hence why I think Liverpool right now, they're kind of focusing on players that they can get done for cheap and that are kind of release clause bases where it's not going to take much time and effort to really get the deal done, if I'm being truly honest. But I won't worry too much about the Kerkez stuff. I do think the Kerkez deal will still probably get over the line, in my opinion, if I'm being truly honest. But we're gonna have to wait and see. And obviously, look, I'm just so excited and intrigued to watch Liverpool again next season, because the way the players that we are being linked with, I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to fit in and how Arne's going to adapt. We've seen Arne Slot this season many times. He's adapted with his substitutions. He's adapted with his in-game tactics. Hence why I just mentioned a really good one, Ryan Gravenberch, kind of playing a deeper sitting role against Fulham when we're down to 10 men. There's been a lot of times where he's changed his tactics, and these in-game tactics have actually won us points. I genuinely think that's one of the biggest points why Liverpool have actually won the Premier League title this season, the way Arne Slot has managed games and managed us across the course of the season. And I know people will pick on, we've not been great for a while. I think a lot of it's down to, I won't say it's necessarily down to fatigue, but Liverpool worked so hard in that first portion of the season to get the groundwork done in trying to win the Premier League title. So then towards the end of the season, they've got that gap, to kind of fall back on if need to while still picking up wins and points. So I won't take that much into consideration, but look, there's a reason why I think Salah's been managed well this season, and the way Arne sort of basically told him to play that kind of just always drifting off the right. Every time he gets the ball, he'll either lay off the pass or make a run and have a shot on goal. He's not tracking back as much, and I think those things that Arne has kind of taken into his game and into Liverpool really needs to be picked up on. And that is why I'm excited and intrigued to see how he's going to fit a Jeremy Frimpong into his system next season. Is he going to massively change the tactics? Is he massively going to do this and do that? So I think it's going to be really interesting. And then again, see what you'll do with Kirkers as well. But the transfer window is not actually officially open. Let me actually Google it. I think it's on the 13th. Transfer window. When does it open? The transfer window actually opens on the 1st of June for the teams that are in the Club World Cup. And then obviously it closes again on the 10th. And obviously all Premier League clubs and EFL will be able to do business during the earlier window, not just Chelsea and Manchester City, and who are participating in the Club World Cup. And then I think it reopens. Yeah, it reopens 6 days later on the 16th of June. So let me share this tab. So this is when it opens. So it opens on the 1st of June, which is literally in like 2 weeks. Hence why you're seeing madness of business being done, because you've got the Club World Cup upon us. Teams are trying to make transfers and stuff like that because they want to go and win the competition. You get 60 million for being in the competition. You get 100 million for being in the competition. That's why teams are doing business, and that's why you see Manchester City being linked to the players. Real Madrid doing business. I know Liverpool aren't in it, but the window is effectively open in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, Liverpool can be doing business. And then obviously it reopens again 6 days later. So I think it's going to be... I can't wait, man. It's going to be a madness of a window. In my opinion, I think I'm so excited for this transfer window, guys. All right, because for the first time, there's real positive in the Liverpool camp. There's real positive in the Liverpool camp right now when it's coming to transfers. I'm not saying, and I'm not doing that bit many because look, the players that we're being linked with, like Florian Wirtz, like, oh my god, Liverpool got signed Florian Wirtz. No, what I'm trying to get at is, for the past couple of years, maybe if we've had a kind of a damper season, a dimming season, or we've kind of won a couple of trophies, and we've kind of not continued that success into the transfer window when we should be doing. There's a real general belief, and it's been a real general belief for a couple of months now, that Liverpool actually are going to do strong, good business this summer and fill in the areas they need. The left back, the right back, potentially a centre back. Hence why we was linked to Huijsen. Obviously, he's going to Madrid. Hence why Liverpool want a number 9. They are looking at midfielders like your Cherkis, like your Simons and your Florian Wirtz. So I think there's a real positivity right now in the Liverpool camp, and there's no reason not to be positive. We've just won the Premier League title. Everyone has full trust in Arne Slot in going forward, and I have no doubt now this full regime is now really coming together. A lot of people criticised Richard Hughes and Michael Oates last summer when Liverpool didn't do business, when we all thought Liverpool should have done business. They should have brought in a centre-back and a midfielder, etc. But obviously we missed out on Martin Zubimendi, and obviously we brought in Huijsen, and obviously got the Maradashvili deal done for the summer. It's going to be interesting to see what actually happens with him. Does he go out on loan? Because obviously Kelleher is going to leave. So there's big talking points. A lot of people talking about there's going to be a lot of outgoings, a lot of incomings. So there's no real reason to not be positive as a Liverpool fan that Liverpool actually are going to do business this summer and do what we should be doing, acting like a big club. Do you know what I mean? So Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's looking like Frimpong is going to be done over a 5-year contract. And obviously, look, David Ornstein and Fabrizio. You know, if I actually go to Fabrizio's page, he also did release. Yeah, we're going to be speaking about Huijsen in a bit. But yeah, obviously, he did release this last night. Understand talks between Liverpool and Jeremy Frimpong's camp for personal terms have advanced. Players always being keen on the move, and Liverpool are progressing on salary and length of contract and every detail of the agreement deal close. And then he obviously did that again 3 hours ago with the eyes mentioned at the timer. So it is looking like something is going to be getting done, in my opinion, over the next few days. And I think Jeremy Frimpong is going to be walking through that door as a Liverpool player on the 1st of June. But there's madness not only, talk about with Frimpong in Leverkusen. There's also Wirtz that we are going to be speaking about. And obviously, David Ornstein confirms that, the rumours and stuff like that, like late last night, hence why it's in the title, the deal is on. That, that there is rumours now with the Wirtz. It is a general belief that there is strong interest. It's not just, Liverpool like the player, they admire the player and all that. There actually seems like there's actually a bit of concrete behind this. Now, whether the deal actually happens is obviously a different story, and it's another thing to talk about. But it is, it's looking likely that Florian Wirtz is actually a real strong, concrete name that Liverpool want to bring through the door. We have got a couple of people inside. Make sure you are smashing the likes. Best window in a long time, IMO. I genuinely think it's going to be a madness of a window. Manchester City, I think, are going to spend absolute madness of money. They spent 200 million in January. I think Manchester United are going to spend money in January, in the summer. If they go on to win that Europa League, I think Chelsea are going to do business again because they need a goalkeeper, they need a striker. I think Arsenal are going to do business. It looks like they are going to get Gyökeres over the line. Also, I did see a piece about Gyökeres, which I think is going to be interesting regarding Liverpool that we are bringing up later in the show. Make sure you smash on the like button, subscribe to stay up to date with that. But yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute madness of a window. So yeah, I think we should get to the big one. A lot of people are talking about right now in Florian Wirtz. Let me just pull up so this is what we're going to do it bit by bit. So this is what someone like a David Lynch has had to say this morning. Liverpool aren't playing down the idea that if Wirtz wants to come to England, Liverpool will try to put a deal together. So I think, look, the big talk right now with Mr. Wirtz is that it really does depend on whether he stays in Germany. If he stays in Germany, he's going to be going to Bayern Munich. If he leaves, there is a strong chance that he comes to Liverpool. And you can't argue that, because if you look at the big clubs that are linked with outside of Germany, the clubs that are actually linked with Wirtz, you look at the big clubs right now, it's only really Man City and Liverpool. So it's going to be interesting to see. One second. But yeah, just from seeing what was posted on Twitter. So about Mr. Frimpong. But yeah. What's this? If you man that's scary hours. 120 million on a midfielder when you need a striker. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And I've seen a couple. Actually, I've seen a couple of people actually really talk about this, regarding that Liverpool should be spending the money elsewhere. I understand and I get that, but I think when a player of Florian Wirtz's caliber and quality and the things that he can possess on a football pitch, if he becomes a real good chance to come to your football club, you don't say no. Do you know what I mean? Name me right now a better attacking midfielder than Florian Wirtz in world football over the past 2 seasons. I find it very hard for people to name. I think there's very good attacking midfielders out there, but I do think genuinely Florian Wirtz, is the best. I'm not trying to do this whole. I think Florian Wirtz is a generational talent. I'm not trying to do that, but I do think Florian Wirtz is a game changer, and he's a player that you break the bank for. He's a player that can change the next big 5-10 years of your football club. And what I mean is, you look at Virgil van Dijk. When he signed for Liverpool for 75 million, he changed everything. He took Liverpool from there to there. When Alisson came in, he took us from there to there. Spending money on these big players, they are worth it. And we've seen it before. I don't know, people will say, oh yeah, Liverpool aren't going to pay that money. When do they ever do that? I mean, we're willing to break the British transfer record for Moises Caicedo. We broke the transfer record for a goalkeeper. We broke the transfer record for a centre-back. Liverpool actually broken, I think we've actually broken the most transfer records in English football. I know we are certainly up there. So when it comes to breaking transfer records and buying big players, yes, it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, Liverpool tend to do that one big bang. We're gonna sign you, Darwin Núñez. We broke our actual transfer record for Darwin Núñez, which was upwards of £100 million, upwards of 100 million quid, £85 million or £90 million or whatever it was, around that mark. So if we're willing to do that for someone like a Darwin Núñez or in a project player, what's to say we can't do that for a player of a world-class ability in Florian Wirtz? If he becomes available and he's willing to come to England, which why would his representatives and the player and all that come over to England if they didn't really have any interest in potentially coming? Because and why would we know Liverpool? They don't like to waste time and stuff like that. So why would we want to waste our time on a player that potentially wouldn't want to come in? And why would we waste our actual time in trying to sign a player if we don't have any intentions in trying to sign the player? So I do think people need to, I'm not saying give FSG credit, I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say is I think Liverpool can get a deal with Florian Wirtz done. We can. We're not a poor football club. Right? I can understand if I'm a Tottenham fan, for example, saying this, or someone like that, I would understand. I would hear it. But when your club has broken massive transfer records in the past 7, 8, 9 years and willing to break the transfer record for a midfielder in upwards of £111 million in Moises Caicedo, and broke their own transfer record 3 years ago in Darwin Núñez. So make of that of what you will, I guess. But yeah, this is something I did see. Liverpool are serious about snatching Florian Wirtz away from Bayern, even though Bayern and Wirtz are said to have reached an agreement. In principle, a tough transfer negotiation looms with Leverkusen, who wants €150 million for Wirtz. So that's the price that they want, which into my currency in British pounds, about 120 million, 125 million. I think if this is a deal where they want it all up front, I can't see Liverpool doing it. If it's a deal where Bayer Leverkusen upwards are potentially, doing this over a structural contract, we pay over a couple of years, we'll pay a big chunk now when we pay the rest next summer. I've seen a couple of people say potentially we could do 60 million and then another 60 million next summer. That's something. I think it's all in one big lump. I don't see Liverpool doing it. If it's something that we can do over a length of a contract, 100% I do see Liverpool doing it. And like I said, the rumours are now that Bayer Leverkusen just don't want to sell to Bayern. They see it as a rivalry in Germany. And don't forget, I was listening to a piece last night from a Leverkusen fan, that Bayern and Bayer don't have a good relationship together. It dates back a couple of decades. I'm not saying I have a lot of knowledge on the relationship regarding Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. However, it appears to me from reading and listening that those two clubs as a connection, no. There's just certain clubs that just doesn't do business just due to the relationship. And you've already lost Jonathan Tah, one of your best centre-backs in recent times, one of the best centre-backs in the Bundesliga over the past couple of years, leaving on a free. You've just lost Xabi Alonso. You've lost Frimpong for cheap. You're not going to want to go and sell your best player to Bayern Munich, are you? You're going to prefer him to sell him to, I don't know, a Liverpool or Manchester City, where it's only going to affect you potentially if you meet in the Champions League. It's not going to affect you in the domestic campaigns. So I think they're all big points that need to be taken into consideration. And again, I'm really, really intrigued. I'm going to have to do some more research regarding that situation. But yeah, it's looking like potentially, And obviously, this is what David Ornstein originally posted yesterday. Obviously, 20 hours ago, it was that Liverpool made contact with Florian Wirtz's camp to express interest in signing playmaker if he leaves by Leverkusen and is keen on moving to England. LFC admiration long-standing but unclear whether the 22-year-old plans to exit Bayer or Germany. And obviously, you have to think Leverkusen are in the hunt for a new manager, but there is every standing right that Florian Wirtz could even stay at Bayer Leverkusen for another year. I wouldn't even put that past it. You have to think. I know he's got 2 years left on his contract. He might sign like an actual 1 or 2 year deal. He is only 22 years of age. Do you know what I mean? He's 22 years of age. For the quality that Wirtz offers, a big price tag is always going to be there. So I wouldn't read too much into everyone saying, "Oh, he's going to Bayern Munich, he's going to Liverpool, he's going to Man City." There's every possibility he could easily very much stay at Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, why not? You never know. But I am going to be back in a second. I do need the toilet, so we'll be back in a sec. 1 second, people. Make sure you smash out them likes, subscribing to the channel. How many likes are we on? We're on 13. Smash them up. It's really much appreciated. I'll be back in literally 2 seconds. Right, we're back. I went to go and get a drink as well. We've got some questions. Where do you think he'll play for you lot? I mean, look, I think that's another interesting point because we spoke about the Frimpong stuff. Where would he play? I think. We spoke about the Frimpong stuff in terms of how he could fit into it, but I think it's interesting how Wirtz fits into it. And this could really change the dynamic of our midfield because who gets dropped? Do Liverpool change formation to keep a Szoboszlai in there as well? We could easily go 4-2-4. We could easily go 4-2-2. There's a lot of options, and this is why it's really exciting if we can sign these caliber of players because it brings excitement. And it's really intriguing because it gives you different options. It's the reason why Pep Guardiola is such a brilliant manager because he has different styles of play and the way he can change his games. So, and that's what Arne Slot, man. I think people really underrate how good Arne Slot is as a tactical manager. I can't lie, I love Wirtz as a player, but do not think it's a risk. Maybe splashing it all on him and not going for a big striker. I get where people are worried and concerned. With this. But like I said, if Florian Wirtz becomes available to your football club, you don't say no. It's like if someone offers you £5,000, you don't say no. I know it's a bit different, but you can get what I'm trying to say at. Like, you just don't say no, do you? And I do think there is still strikers that we can get for a reasonable price while fitting in a big marquee player signing like that in. But I'm gonna start that because I'm actually gonna come back to that. Just a few worries. However, I would love him as a baller, man. He is a baller, man. Unbelievable player. I just subscribed. You, my guy. Nice meet you on this channel. Big up to yourself, Luca, mate. Luca Talks Ball. Do you have a channel at all? But yeah, back to this comment. I get where people are concerned about potentially splashing the cash on Wirtz instead of a big striker. The question is, name me a striker that is worth over £100 million right now. You say that is possible to get. Let's not be daft and say Erling Haaland, Mbappe, and all that. Take away all those caliber players, but let's just look at like your Jokereses, your Isaks, your Seskos, those sort of strikers, your Etitikes. The only one that's that's going to cost over 100 million is Alexander Isak. Jokeres is going to cost you 60 million. Etitike is probably going to cost you 60, 70 million paid over structure. Sesko, I think, could actually be quite a lot. I actually do think. And I actually do think also another thing, striker value is going to go up as the window goes on. And what I mean is the more strikers that go, so like let's say a Jokeres goes to Arsenal, let's say an Osherman goes to Chelsea, for example, the very few strikers that become available, their price is going to come up because they know clubs need a striker. Just in the Premier League alone, forget clubs all around Europe, in the Premier League alone, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool, you could argue Man City needs some attacking depth. Arsenal, I think Newcastle need to add depth to their attack in the areas as well. You could argue clubs like Bournemouth as well. I think genuinely a lot of Forest, they need to add depth to Chris Wood. You know, there's a lot of clubs that need a striker. Very few good strikers, and it's going to be about the race to who can get what business done. And that is why you're seeing clubs like Liverpool getting your Frimpongs in, because they know in certain positions a lot of clubs need those business. And the transfer window is opened in literally 2 weeks' time. So that is obviously important to remember. But man, it's going to be an absolute blast of a summer in terms of transfers. You know, and for the first time as a Liverpool fan, I would genuinely say in about a couple of years now, I would genuinely say a couple of years. I would say go back to like maybe the season we won the title when we signed Thiago, Jota, Tsimikas. We actually added in depth in areas we needed a bar in the centre back. And then you go back to the 2018 window when we signed Shaqiri, Fabinho, Keita obviously joined in that window. Alisson, you know, that was an exciting, good window. You know, we've had very few windows in the past couple of years as a Liverpool fan, but this one just genuinely feels different. It feels like Arne Slot has now come in. He's, you know, last summer we heard the buzzwords. He needs to assess the squad. You know, we've assessed the squad over the course of the season, who is good enough and who isn't, who will stay and who won't. I think Liverpool will make, from players that will be sold, 200 million. And I genuinely think that won't. I think that's actually realistic. So let's go. So let's just go a calculator, yeah. Right. Let's just do it like this. Right, 30 for, let's say Harvey Elliott. I think we'll go. I think we get 40 for Kelleher. I'm not saying 30 quid or 40 quid. I just can't be bothered to add all the extra digits. I think we get 30 for Harvey, 40 for Kelleher. I think Darwin, let's just say 60. We'll be fair. Now it gets interesting. I think your Tyler Mortons. I think players like he will go. I think, look, you probably get, let's say 10, 15. Let's just meet in the middle and say 10 mil. Okay, that's 140. I think Tsimikas will go. I think that's 15 million pounds, 10, 15 million. I think also, I've got another feeling, yeah, Chiesa will probably go. Interesting to see how much we'll probably get for him. You're probably saying 10, 15 mil again. You probably break even. Okay, let's just be fair and say 15 mil. That's 170. That's not including potentially, let's say, a Luis Diaz for 50 mil, who's been linked with Saudi. Potentially Jota, you're probably getting 30 to 40. So I think it's going to be a really interesting summer. And then hopefully, we reinvest that back into the squad. And let's not forget, by the way, we didn't spend last summer. We can't really count the Chiesa signing, can we, really? We spent 11 mil. You just sub. Yep. Make sure you smash them likes, people. No, what I was saying is, mate, I'm saying, do you have a channel? That's what I was saying. Because your name's called Luca Talks Ball. So I just assumed that, you had a channel or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting summer, people. Let me know who you think will be on the move this summer. I mean, look, Sesko's being linked with Liverpool as well. We are going to speak a bit about Huijsen, by the way, who's looking like the Real Madrid move is a done deal. That ship has kind of sailed now with Liverpool. Let's get the tweet up from David Ornstein. So David Ornstein had to come out and say this morning, Real Madrid activate 50 mil release clause in Dean Huijsen's contract, plus working on finalised signing of Bournemouth centre-back. Talks over personal terms advanced and reps in Madrid to close transfer. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be a done deal. And yeah, look, it's disappointing because I do think he is a good centre-back. Huijsen, I think he's going to be one of the best centre-back. I'm going to make a wild claim. I genuinely think in a couple of years' time, this kid is going to be a real talent at centre-back. There's a reason why Madrid want, this lad at his age and from Bournemouth. You also have to think, by the way, Bournemouth only got him in, I believe, last summer. We should collab, bro. You'll have to let me know your channel name, mate. I'm always down to collab with whoever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really too fussed me. But it's going to be really interesting to see now what do Liverpool do regarding the centre-back situation, because we've clearly have an interest in bringing in a centre-back. There was obviously talks about Lenny Euro last year. Guehi, who's, I believe, has only got a year left on his contract. And obviously, we've been linked with Huijsen for months and months and months. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Liverpool do potentially in the centre-back market. I think a lot of it is really depending on the Konate situation regarding his contract, whether he signs a new deal, whether he goes to Paris Saint-Germain, he goes to Real Madrid, and hopefully the Huijsen stuff might shift, Real Madrid away. Real Madrid just leave us alone. I just wish Real Madrid would just sod off. They take our targets, they beat us in finals, and now they take now they take Trent away. It's like, just sod off, man. Like, if Real Madrid and Liverpool were kids in school, Real Madrid would be kicked out and permanently banned because they are a bully. I'm not even joking, man. Like, but let's hope Konate does sign the contract, because again, there is rumours and chat being spoken about. The talks aren't advanced with Ibrahim Konate. That is a worry for me, and I know a lot of people have been saying, should we sell him in the summer? Should we sell him? I mean, look, I think it's difficult. It's a difficult decision because, how long can we put up with not letting some of our best players in their prime go for free? Do you know what I mean? Like, we can't afford Konate to go for free. Like, it's as simple as that. I do get where people are coming from. Should we just wait to the summer and, potentially see what happens? We are obviously going to have to, wait and see how that plays out. But it's going to be an interesting one over the summer, I think, regarding the contract situation. And then Robertson's on a free. I believe Robertson will go on a free next summer. I think if we're talking about contracts, I think Robertson will go on a free next summer. I think he'll just go back to Celtic, happily retire there, or maybe he does the Milner type thing and signs like a couple of year extensions. I think that's a real possibility as well. So it's gonna be really, really interesting, and I can't wait, man, to see what Arne Slot and the team have planned. But I might throw the link in the chat and see if anyone wants to potentially come on. we'll throw it in the chat. If anyone wants to come on and speak transfers, maybe if it's Liverpool stuff, give your thoughts on the Florian Wirtz situation. Obviously, have your camera on and mic. And yeah, I've just posted that. So yeah, I mean, look, man, it's going to be a mad summer. It's going to be an absolute mad summer. And obviously, let's not forget Huijsen apparently wanted Real Madrid from the start. So it was always going to be, if he stays in the Premier League, he probably goes to Liverpool. If he don't, he's going to Real Madrid. There's not a way that he was going to stay at Bournemouth for next season. Not a chance in the world. So, we just have to move on now. And I think I would genuinely keep an eye on Mark Guay. I'm actually going to have a look on. Let me have a look when his contract's up. Mark Guay. I do believe it is next year. If I share this tab on, we can also see his wages. Also, when's Adam Wharton's contract up? Because that's a player I really want. Adam Wharton, yeah, he's got 4 years. Mark Guay only has 1 year left and is only on 50 grand a week. So in terms of a pay increase, that's not really going to be an issue. In terms of a pay increase, that's not going to be an issue. So I would genuinely keep an eye out on Mark Guay to Liverpool. With 1 year left on his deal, there's not a chance where Palace can let him go out for free. I know Newcastle have interest. I've seen. I can imagine someone like Chelsea potentially have an interest in him. So again, I think in the terms of the centre back situation, I would genuinely keep an eye out for Mark Guay. Liverpool have been interested in him for a couple of years now, but I'm of the feeling that he'll probably go to like a Newcastle. If I'm being honest. Yeah, I would. Let me just see. How many likes are we on? We're on 17, man. Big up to everyone that has hit that like button. We're on 773 subs. I do appreciate it. Let me just what's this tweet about? Let me pull this up. But yeah, I think, look, I wouldn't, a lot of people don't know what's going to happen this summer. And that's the excitement, I think, really. I think that's really, if I'm honest, that's the excitement, in my opinion. And yeah. But yeah, I'll take him. What, Guehi? Yeah, I would as well. Can't rely on Kanate staying fit. Yeah, of course, we cannot rely on Kanate staying fit. You've seen the Prem Awards for the Player of the Year. It's interesting, some of the names. I did actually see that. I did see that. Let's actually have a look at this. So this was the manager of the season. So you got Frank, Eddie Howe, Nuno, Pereira at Wolves, and Arne Slot. For me, Arne Slot's got to win it. If you're talking about potentially overall as a season, I think Eddie Howe's definitely up there. That Newcastle can get Champions League football. I think a lot of people actually probably want to predict them to get Champions League football this season. And obviously they won a trophy. And obviously, you know, Nuno's up there if Forest are to get champs. Kind of, what's the word? Very anticlimactic into the season for Nottingham Forest. You know, for them, Thomas Frank has done all right. You know, Pereira's done okay at Wolves. I would have potentially had Areola in there. And obviously, this is for the player of this. Oh, this is player of the season awards. For me, there's only one man. It's only one man, and that's Mohamed Salah. It's as simple as that. I don't think you can really say anyone else. I think Virgil van Dijk is there. Gravenberch for us. If you're, you know, I think, look, I'm not being disrespectful, but how was Declan Rice in there? I thought he was very poor at the start of the season. I don't think he's even been their best midfielder. Arsenal fans, if watching back on the stream, will have to let me know. I actually think Thomas Partey's been better than Declan Rice over the course of the season. I think Declan Rice has been very good in the past 2-3 months. Whether that warrants to be in the top 8 players of the season, Chris Wood, yeah, instrumental. Brian Mbeumo, I did my team of the season a couple of weeks back. I actually had Brian Mbeumo in there. I think he's had a very underrated season over at Brentford, and he's only 25 years of age. I'm surprised not many clubs are potentially trying to snap him up. Some of the awards, your Young Player of the Year. For me, it's Ryan Gravenberch. He has been so instrumental to Liverpool winning the title. How is Cole? Oh my God. How's Cole Palmer in there? Yeah. How is Cole Palmer in there? João Pedro, Morgan Rogers is a shout. Saliba. Is he just in there based off age? Because if you're going for Arsenal, you're probably going Myers Lewis Skelly, to be fair. Dean Huijsen, yeah. Very good shot. Lang has been very good. You know, Delap's been decent. I think my top 3 picks, Gravenberch, Huijsen, and Rogers, in my opinion. So for the awards, for me, it goes Gravenberch, Rogers, Huijsen. They're my top 3. For managers, my top 3 would be Slot, Eddie Howe, Nuno. For player of the season, Salah, Van Dijk. I think Isak. That's my opinion. So, yeah, we're going to get on to the point where I was going to talk about later in the video. I did see this now. Say what you like about the sourcing in terms of caught offside. I don't know, a lot of people will maybe not warrant it. But I do think it's not just going to be Arsenal in the race for Victor Gyökeres. I just don't see just being Arsenal in the race for Victor. I do see Liverpool potentially have an interest. Manchester United, if they win the Europa League, especially, you know, former manager Ruben Amorim, you know, you take that into consideration. So I do think, you know, that could be a possibility. And you have to think for the age, you know, the price. You know, he has got a release clause in Victor Gyökeres. Now, I think it's what, 60-something million pounds his release clause is, Gyökeres. And if Liverpool aren't going to go down the route in signing that big name striker in an Isak, for example, go and get me a world class 10 in Wirtz and a Gyökeres. If you had said to me, let's say, for example, Isak, and I don't know, other players that we've been linked to, Simons. Isak and Simons, or Gyökeres and Wirtz. It's Gyökeres and Wirtz all day, every week. And if we sell Darwin Núñez, that near enough basically pays for Victor Gyökeres. It actually does. If we sell Darwin Núñez for 70 million to Saudi Arabia, that effectively pays for Victor Gyökeres. Now, it will just basically be a battle on the player's perspective, not necessarily the release clause, because it'll just be down to who Gyökeres prefers. And I still think he'll go to Arsenal, just because I think Arsenal probably got the groundwork in there done. And on the player's perspective, I do think Chelsea can't be written off in this deal. They need a striker as well. If it's not going to be Osimhen, are they really going to go for someone like a Sesko? If it's not a Gyökeres or an Osimhen? So I do think Gyökeres to Liverpool would be. I would love it, man. Please. Do I see it happening again? No. I do think he'll go to Arsenal, but I'm going to stand on business. I do think the Gyökeres to Arsenal isn't going to be as straightforward as many people think. That's just my opinion, if I'm being honest. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's gonna be again, people. It's gonna be an interesting summer, and it's exciting. How can you not be excited about the transfer window? Do you know what I mean? So, 100% be excited. There's no reason to not be. And yeah, man, smash up them likes, people. How many likes we on? We're on 18. Let me see. Let's have a look if there's any more news. Liverpool have a scheduled meeting with Bayer Leverkusen for Florian Wirtz. The source has 1K followers and is an Arsenal fan writer. That is a load of bollocks. What's this? Liverpool keeping an open mind over the centre-back options given the doubts and the persist over long-term future of Ibrahim Konate with the player by his 12 months left. Yeah, that's kind of mad. Roxamin talks. It is understood Leverkusen are being kept aware of developments. Well, obviously, if we're going to pay the release clause, yeah, I actually agree. It should be up there. Liverpool have reached personal terms of Frimpong. A full agreement between Liverpool and Bayer and could be concluded this weekend. Graham Bailey saying this. So yeah, I think it is going to be done this weekend, in my opinion. I do think the transfer of Frimpong is going to be done, in my opinion. I do think it's going to be done tomorrow. And Yeah. We will be there. We will be there, of course. But yeah. Tomorrow, yeah, I mean, yeah, get it done tomorrow. Any chance of Turkey? I mean, look, there is reports around Turkey with Liverpool, so I won't fully write off that, if I'm being honest. Liverpool still want him to, yeah. I think we get Simon's thoughts, and Wirtz goes to Bayern. Yeah, I think that that is the conception that a lot of people think. That's my prediction. Yeah, and then what? The Man City get what? Reinders and Gibbs White. That could be the most likely outcome, in my opinion. Wirtz goes to Bayern Munich. We probably get someone like a Cherky or a Simons. Man City will go in and get Gibbs White and they'll get Gibbs White and Reinders. So yeah, I mean that is 100%. The possibility, mate. If I'm being honest. But yeah, it's been a good stream. We've done an hour and 10. Make sure you're smashing up them likes, people. You're subscribing to the channel. It's very important you make sure you do so. And yeah, we'll be back later on. We're going to be speaking about some other clubs as transfers news and giving my thoughts and feelings on them. We might go live again later if we get the Here We Go from Jeremy Frimpong. If the Here We Go from Jeremy Frimpong happens, we will be going live 110%. So yeah, we will be there for that. But yeah, until then, take care and goodbye.